Hello. It is week 48, chocolate, sweet, cool Canada. Good morning, Maureen. I need to remember to stand here. Good morning, Maureen.
Good morning, Michelle. How are you doing?
Doing okay. I'm surrounded by chocolate.
Great.
You know, how can that be bad?
How happy could you be?
Right? And then I was thinking about you again this morning because I am going to have a nice little shout out to our friends at Peace by Chocolate today. And I thought, what better person to add a few comments than yourself?
Because I've got the lovely book here as well, you see.
Yeah, good. And you know, the movie's launching next week.
What's happening next week?
The movie's launching right now at the Toronto Film Festival.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I looked it up and I was excited.
It's totally amazing. And oh gosh, you know, because the following week I would actually be there in Ontario.
You'll have to do some research as to when we get off and have a look at it. I was looking up some stuff yesterday and I had this box here from before and I opened it and I thought, well, you know what better homage than to talk about that incredible story that they have.
Have you read the book, Michelle?
Yeah,
have you read the book? Yeah. Reading the book is just so wonderful because it is the real story of human beings and their transportation to a new world and how they managed to, you know, grow and become part of it, and how basically that particular area in Nova Scotia was so wonderful to them and made it happen, you know. Yeah, it's really.
And Saint-Evac is a really important pathway partner for Atlantic Canada Language Academy. So it's really nice to know that the university and the students in that community played such a big part in ensuring the success of that business. And you know, there's no greater story about, I think, Atlantic Canadian, you know, community and helping people understand. And what I want to be able to speak a bit, and I will for a few minutes today, is that we're so very proud at Atlantic Canada Language Academy to serve these students that come in from all over the world. And then we serve all of the newcomers to the region in the South Shore. And there are many Syrians since 2012 that have joined our school. And we're very proud to be part of that consistent journey and have from the beginning within the school. So it's a pretty big part of the school's history.
It's wonderful, actually. I think it's really wonderful that how the school has embraced all of that as well and promotes it, because that's not something that generally happens, you know.
You know, Maureen, if it had not been for our Nova Scotia Office of Immigration contract and our SEALs do them, as we call them, it's our South Shore English as Additional Language Learners, because most of them, this English is their third or fourth language. And those students have been here in Canada. So they've really been the heart of the school this past year and a half, because they've been our students that have been consistently present. When we could be in class, they were in class, and if not, they haven't been, but really adapted to being online and have had the same struggles as other people. When English isn't your first language, and then you have to learn technology on top of a language, people don't always understand that there's an additional learning component that adds into that. So, you know.
Very much so. I understand that, because when I lived in North Wales, practically everyone spoke Welsh. So I had to try and learn Welsh because I didn't know what people were talking about at work, you know. But I didn't have to deal with technology, you know. I just had to go to school and, you know, try to learn to understand that language, you know. And so that's a different experience altogether, you know, than what the people have had to go through now.
Absolutely. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hello, everyone. Hello,
Good morning to Vietnam.
Just a moment. Let me check the volume.
And let me make sure my screen share is on right away.
Okay. Hello, Maureen. How are you?
Fine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great.
good. You're looking wonderful. But I don't know what that place is behind you, but it looks beautiful.
That's our
On the-
school.
Yeah, our school.
That's the Lunenburg Academy, Maureen.
Because I've only used to seeing the bottom part of it, not the top part of it. That's beautiful. Oh, right. Now I see it. Seeing the whole big block, but I could just see portions of it there. And I thought, like, where is that now?
Yeah, those are really beautiful. We had those banners done up in Ho Chi Minh City for December of last year. Jacqueline has a lot of gorgeous banners, but we particularly like that one. It really does show that authentic architect. And that was right after the renovation last year that they had just finished on the building.
I haven't seen it for a couple of years myself.
Well,
So.
you're going to be so impressed. I mean, the community, and because it's a World UNESCO site and it's a World Heritage building, they just put in a couple of $1 million in replacing the windows and upgrading, painting and redoing the outside. It was really quite something to watch it unfold. The scaffolding was all up. Last year, Rosalind and I were able to go to the very top of the building because the scaffolding was all up. And we've got videos filmed all over Lunenburg. So it was a pretty unique experience to get to really go through that. Yeah, there was storm delays. They had to take all the scaffolding off the building at one point and then put it all back up. Hey, look, my brother from another mother has arrived.
You look great, Richard and Michelle. I love your t-shirt.
Hi, everybody.
I
How
did.
are you?
Jacqueline, I just got this one yesterday. I'm going to go back
Very
and
nice.
see if they have another
Nice.
one. Isn't it
Color
perfect?
coded.
Perfect.
Full sweet Canada for chocolate.
Yeah. Well, hey, I've even got hot chocolate from Canada. I've got a story behind that. So
Yay! Jacqueline's gonna make some hot chocolate. Maureen, your mom and I, and Mom, we're having a wonderful conversation. We're really excited. We're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about Peace by Chocolate today, because not only is it significant
good.
in the Canadian chocolate journey, there are movies being launched this weekend, Toronto Film Festival, Richard.
What the tip?
The chocolate powder from my hometown. This is the product of my friend's company.
Very good. Very
I'm
good.
so proud.
Yeah, I can't wait for
Well, I
you
also
to
have
talk about that.
chocolate whiskey and coffee chocolate from the Polish shop. More to come on that
Great.
too.
Very lovely.
I love this Polish stuff.
It's interesting, and it's actually the 7th of July, I believe it is, that's International Chocolate Day. So this is, this theme came along for that reason, and it was, it's been a really beautiful journey looking at chocolate and remembering,
Today's America Day. Today's the 4th.
Yeah.
Today's 4th of July.
Today's
We're
the
going
4th.
to
It's
give
America
shout out
Day.
to our American friends.
American Day.
And today, are you ready for something
Day
exciting
to the
for us?
South. Guys to the South Day.
Guess what's going on
Happy
today in our
Guys to the
world?
South of us Day.
More
Yes.
important, Richard.
What's that?
We are going to Nova Scotia today, Mom and I, and it is my niece's 30th birthday. And
I saw this morning when I was on my news feed, there was a woman at the border. I think she's the MP from Amherst, and she said, "We're finally open today. Today's the day. New Brunswick and Nova Scotia are free to open." So that's great.
There you go.
And I get to see my new great granddaughter.
Oh, and to see your granddaughter. Wonderful.
Where is she?
Great granddaughter. So Emily, that turns 30 today, she had Stella last November, and we haven't met her yet.
Oh,
Wow.
and
Today's going to be a big day. We're going to get to see our entire family that we haven't seen and meet, well, great granddaughter, my great niece, on her mom's birthday. So we're really excited. So we have a big family barbecue this afternoon. And of course, I'm treating my family in Nova Scotia at my brother's. So my family's going to get to share in the bounty of what we've cooked to bring down for them to enjoy with us this afternoon. Good morning, Scott.
Hey, Scott. And where do you have to go in Nova Scotia? Where are you driving to? Halifax. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to Halifax.
Oh. Any side trips to Lunenburg or anything planned?
Well, we'll be leaving for Lunenburg in the morning. So Mom will stay in Nova Scotia, and then I'm going to go down to Lunenburg, and we'll be at the school till Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So very excited to get to see all of the team.
Yeah.
Yes.
When's the
Say
last
hello
time
to
you were there?
everybody.
When's the last time you were there? November, maybe October?
December 2nd.
Great, right. Wow.
But a big day ahead of you, a big, for
It's been
sure.
7 months. Does that make this? It's been 8 months.
Jesus.
I know.
Very good,
So-
very good. Well, that's really great news. That's really great news.
Wonderful news.
And I know Rosalind is in Nova Scotia. She is at her mom's in
Already.
She left yesterday. Oxford?
she's gonna log on for a few minutes here because she's gonna be on data in the middle of at her mom's. Good morning, Joan.
Morning, phone.
Boarding in progress.
Morning.
We also realized this morning there was someone by the name of Lama, not sure which country they were from, had tried to log in at like 8 o'clock. So I think there's a time zone, someone's converting the wrong direction. So hopefully they will join us. Good morning, Fairy. We're excited to see your son's recipe. So yes, Rosalind is on data reception today because where she is in Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. So she got to go down yesterday to see her mom, who she hadn't seen in some time. So it's a really blessed week. So as we celebrate Canada's birthday past, and we said celebrating today with our American neighbors for the 4th of July for them, which is really exciting. And what a great chocolate as a universal ingredient for week 48, if you can imagine. We're very excited about that. So yeah, can you imagine 4th of July of 2021. So, and I don't have to say, I'm Michelle Alcorn for Atlantic Canada Language Academy. We're so excited about what this week is bringing, and we know we've got some guests going to be coming in and out. When Richard and I were speaking, and it's fun, Richard, we're excited to be seeing him arriving here in August, and Jacqueline this fall, and we're looking at chocolate as a topic, and it's fascinating because you can put it, chocolate is involved in a lot of things, but I really enjoyed the history of chocolate. Richard's going to give a couple tidbits about that, but you know, really, thank you, Mexico. And it really came in through that area and then in through Latin America. And then, you know, we really experienced chocolate a little bit later. And I'm excited to see where chocolate is created all over the world. And Jacqueline from Vietnam today is going to bring us some products that were made in her hometown. Very exciting when we get to see that. I know, Richard, I think about you being in the UK right now. And a lot of people, when they visit over there, are always so excited about getting the chocolates that are made in your region that are the same brands as in Canada, but they taste so different. I remember when you traveled, it was like, bring us back these particular chocolates because Europe is so very well known for its chocolate.
Well, the UK and Ireland have a different formula again from the continent as well, but it's something to do with more veg something in it. But I first found this out. I had a girlfriend who was Irish in the 90s, and she went to Ireland and she came back to Toronto and she had a Kit Kat bar from Ireland. And then she bought one from Canada and said, here, taste the difference. And I was like, wow, this is so much better. And then I got to admit, I didn't have much of a sweet tooth at all when I lived in Canada. But when I first moved to Ireland, I started eating a lot of chocolate that first year. And ice cream.
That's, you know what, nothing wrong with that. Good morning, Rosalind.
Hey, Roz.
Good morning. I don't even, am I on mute? No. Am I on mute?
You're not, and you just
Okay.
took your video off, but say good morning to your mom as well.
I took my video off. I apologize, everybody. I'm on my phone, so I have a technical issues. I don't think my video is on. Is it not, Michelle?
Yes, it is on, and we can see you in the kitchen. And you
Okay,
look great.
so I am going to apologize in advance because I don't know where my mute button is. So I will be trying to be very quiet.
You're all good. I had that challenge with the phone as well, Roz. We were just chit-chatting a little bit about the uniqueness of chocolate and how it tastes different around the world. And then and you and I talked a little about this because Rosalind is the most traveled in all of our team. And she loves dark chocolate, which is, I think all of us are featuring mainly today. But how if you had a Kit Kat bar that was made in the UK and a Kit Kat bar in Canada, how it's so interesting how there's that difference. So, and I'll tell you a fun story. Growing up, my father was known as the candy man because he worked for companies and he sold confectionery, which is amazing. So when we were kids, my father was a representative for Mars bars, Three Musketeers, Snickers bars, some of those ones that we know. So let's just say at Halloween, when we were kids, we used to give out big candy bars back in the 70s and 80s, which was interesting because we had a lot of it. So let's just say we probably had a few extra friends hanging around our house because there was some pretty good chocolate around on a regular basis. But we're celebrating a lot of great things. I love my new shirt I got yesterday, Cool Sweet Canada. I thought that was really fun and fitting. Thank you to the Superstore. That's where that came from. So a good $10 t-shirt. I will go sourcing a few more. We're going to talk a little bit about menu. We're going to go over to Rosalind early because we know that she's with her mom, and we know that right now she's got a little bit more internet challenges. So let's talk about this decadent and delicious menu. And I think everybody has come to share some wonderful things. So chocolate is the topic. So we're in a few minutes, we're going to go back and we're going to talk a bit about Peace by Chocolate, which we've featured them before and we love it. It's a Syrian family, 2012 came to Antigonish, Nova Scotia, and they have really taken chocolate to an entirely incredibly different level. And their story is a gift. And we're going to talk a little bit about them. They're launching their movie at the Toronto Film Festival right now. Couldn't be better timing. Maureen, I know, knows some of them, so she's going to share a little bit about her thoughts. And we cooked with some of their chocolate there last year, and I think we're making some waffles. So in traditional Mexico, we know chocolate comes out of Mexico. I made a mole sauce, and I need everybody to know it was my first. It won't be my last. And I used quite a bit of the traditional cooking method, but I used a few things a little bit different, channeling into my cook side. It's delicious. I had to inform my mom this morning, we're not sure, it might be too spicy for her. But let's just say in the first try, when it calls for 5 different types of chilies, trust me, you're gonna have a little bit of a challenge in getting that heat level down. Rosalind, trust me, I put some in the freezer and set it aside. This is your speed, you will love it. It was really enjoyable for the journey because it was really about building the recipe and honoring each of the ingredients that goes in it. And then when you're putting that melted chocolate at the end, it really is quite beautiful. I did make it last night, took about an hour. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm making s'mores. There's a really, really great Canadian piece about a s'more, and that is readily available on campfires. This is the biggest time of year you're going to see us making s'mores. We're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. I have a little baby torch here, so we're going to be able to do this a little bit live. Some chocolate dipped strawberries, regular, and we're going to spice it up. We did some tests to add some of Scott's original buffalo sauce in mixed with melted chocolate, rolled the strawberries in it, incredibly spicy. And the one thing I like about chocolate, it can go sweet, it can take a lot of spice. So that's really great. Jacqueline, I can tell you it's been a long awaited I think we might have the most questions on your recipe. Scott's waving going, I think he has his notepad out to remind everybody it's recorded. Please go back to our YouTube channel and share everything with your friends. But we're most excited about this unbelievably cool recipe that you have which is chocolate and Jello with coconut. You've managed to put every favorite I have in one. So thank you for that. And a wonderful hot chocolate that she's making from her hometown. Really beautiful to hear how that's going to work. Rosalind, of course, always brings us an amazing energy bar. I love that. I have things in my fridge that my lovely partner here makes sure I have kept up. So I'm anxious to hear her chocolate energy bars. And you know, Maureen's got a little biscuit, but I think she's going to share more a little bit about Piece by Chocolate with me. But Richard, we're going to talk about having some chalktails. So versus cocktails, we're going to make sure a few of these nice drinks that he has, and we're going to make sure he's going to do one early in the show and one a little later. So we are going to bump over to Roz and get her started on her energy bars, Richard, but stay thirsty. We'll get over to you right after Roz in case we have a few technical difficulties. We have a special guest today with Christine from Vietnam, and I love it. So we had a sneak peek at a tofu ball, which I am so excited to make, but we're really excited to see that recipe come out today. So we'll make sure that we have lots of time to look at that. And my workstation is now coated in strawberries and different things. So the one thing I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to show you how we do it. I create a little bit of a double boiler. So I have a pot, and on top of it is a glass bowl. The glass bowl has a nice space between the two, and it's just water underneath. And Mom and I are going to simply drop, I'm going to set this on my coffee, blocks of this beautiful dark chocolate, 80%. And we're going to put it into the glass bowl, and we're going to let that melt away, Rosalind, while we go over to you, and you now figured out your mute button. So
I did.
All right. You're really talented. I'm impressed. All right, Rosalind, looking forward to you.
Now that
see what's going on.
Thanks, Michelle. Now that I figured out my mute button, I might be able to stay throughout the majority of the show if my internet permits me. So thank you very much, Michelle. I am so excited about this chocolate episode. And my mom loves chocolate, so that's always fun. So what I did was yesterday morning, before I traveled to Nova Scotia to see my daughter and my mother for the first time since 2020, which I'm quite excited about. So I came to Nova Scotia, but in the morning I got up and I made, remember a couple of weeks ago, maybe you don't, but I made some applesauce energy cranberry bars. So what I did is I said, I can't go to Mom's and not be able to participate in the show. So here I am on my phone, which is very interesting because it's only the second time, and I think I got it organized. So what I've done is I just did my applesauce energy cranberry bars, but I took Scott's suggestion and I put chocolate in it. So what I did was it's the exact same recipe, only I put dark chocolate in it, chopped up dark chocolate, and I made those. So Michelle, I brought some for Lunenburg. So I have brought some down for us to eat while we're down there. And I brought some to my daughter, who I've seen for the first time, like I said, since 2020. And she's gluten-free and dairy-free, just like Michelle. And she's loving them, of course. So I brought some down, and my mom and my brother tried them last night, and they thought they were delicious as well. So there you go. So the recipe is very simple. It's 2 cups of oats. It is 2 eggs, vanilla, cinnamon, a quarter of a teaspoon of vanilla, couple of teaspoons of cinnamon, but you know me, I always add extra cinnamon in them because I love it. And coconut oil or butter, which will be 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil or butter, and you chop up the nuts. So what you do is you put the nuts and the oatmeal and the coconut oil after it's melted into a pot, and you stir it continuously stir so it doesn't burn. You stir the oats and the nuts and the coconut oil for 3 minutes. And then you set your timer for another 1 minute. And then you add a little bit of sea salt or salt, teaspoon actually, and you add your cinnamon at that point. And again, you continuously stir it, because if you don't, it will burn the bottom, because it's at a medium heat, and you have to continuously stir. And then after that 5-minute process, 4 to 5 minute process, you take it out and you add the cranberries, eggs in one bowl. You put cranberries, the 2 eggs, a cup of cranberries, and in that time I put in some chia seeds, and you soak them in the all together. You put the cranberries and the eggs and soak them in a bowl. Then when the oats and the nuts are finished, you put it into a larger bowl and you add your cranberry egg mixture, your cranberry eggs, yes, and your applesauce mixture together. And you stir that all up continuously. And then you just put it in a pan, an 8x8. I tripled the batch this time, so it was a little bit larger, which you can do. And then you put it in an 8x8 pan and you put it in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes. I would check it at about 25 just in case. 30 seems to, I've cooked it 30 minutes both times and it worked well. Where I made a triple batch, I cooked the larger pan for 35 minutes, just because it's a bigger quantity and you want to make sure that they hold together when you cut them. And they do, as you can tell, they stay together quite nicely once they come out of the oven and cool. So that was the recipe that I shared, and thankfully I could remember it in my head because I don't have it written down. So there you go. It's a very simple recipe, obviously, because I can remember it. So I'm really glad that everybody's around, and thank you for joining us again this week.
Well done, Roz. And I can tell you, I have done quality control on multiple of times, and she really, for my trail hiker, and of course road trips away, which, as we've heard, Roz and I live in New Brunswick. The school is in Nova Scotia. And I'll tell you something about Nova Scotia that's really great. I'm featuring Nova Scotia strawberries. So these gorgeous strawberries that we have, and I think it's so very important to mention that when you come to Atlantic Canada, this is strawberry season. So please know this is, and I know Emily there from Toronto are saying you need to get down and visit during this season. This is your best season to come down to Atlantic Canada. There's so many things that are in harvest. And each week we're going to try to continue to making sure we're highlighting for all of our listeners what's cooking and what's growing. So these gorgeous strawberries, they taste like candy. They are so rich and they are so red, and you can see those beautiful berries in there. They're really sensational. So thank you, Nova Scotia. Not that New Brunswick has plenty, but Nova Scotia's climate's just that tiny bit. And we always find that we'll see our Nova Scotia berries before our New Brunswick berries. So we love that about Nova Scotia. So Richard, I think we need to check Chalktail Hour in Ireland and see what you have got going for your first chocolate enhanced drink. So let's zoom over to you and we'll see what's cooking in Ireland.
Okay, how's it going? It's I was thinking of doing like iced coffee kind of stuff, iced chocolate coffee, but it's really not summer here anymore. It's turned back into winter. So I think it's maybe the same where you are. But anyway, so what I'm doing is first I'm going to use this stuff here. And I don't know if you can read this, but it says Lickery or Smaku whiskey. So this is the chocolate whiskey. Well, whiskey filled chocolates. You're going to go into a coffee. These are the first ingredient. So I'm going to open this up and add this into what is going to be a blender. It's going to be mixed up into this. So I'm going to drop these two things in here. I've already warmed up the water, and I have some cold coffee on the side, which are espressos, so I can add that in afterwards. Now, I've also got this box of chocolate, which again, I bought all this stuff at a local Polish shop, so that's why you can't read the writing. So this one says Pralinki Nadzrinum something Shmaku, and it's got 2 espressos 2 cappuccinos and 2 cafe lattes inside. So I'm going to use, for the first one, I think I'm going to use cafe au lait or espresso. You can also pronounce that espresso. If you're in Italy, they really like that. I'm just kidding. So I'm going to put these 2 in here as well. Boom, boom. And then add a little bit of almost boiling water so that they all mix together. Now there's a couple of other things I'm going to add on this too. I was looking in my So these are thoroughly liquefied now. And I was looking through some stuff that I had from former visits to Canada, and I had this commemorative cup from Tim Hortons. They used to bring these out at Christmas time a lot. And these come with a coffee, a little bit of coffee. I'm going to leave this for you, Mom, and some hot chocolate, Canadian hot chocolate. So I'm going to add a little bit of this as well, opening up this. Adding it in the cup. The boiling liquefied chocolate works perfectly. And then a little bit of actual coffee, espresso. And then some lactose-free milk, also from the Polish shop. I can't read this either, so. But I'm sure it's lactose-free. And then just a little bit of a stir up. So we're gonna just see how chocolatey this tastes. It's probably gonna be great. I think it needs one more whiskey. That's what I think. When we come back the next time, we'll try it again. I looked up the word, what's kind of interesting is I noticed this word smaku that was on here and this box, the other box as well. And I looked it up because it sounded a little bit familiar. So I looked it up in Polish. It means to taste, which is the exact same thing it means in German. In German, schmeck is taste, or geschmeckt means it tastes really good. And that actually exists in English too. It comes from, we know the word smack in English, which we think of as a smack across the face or something like that. But originally the word smack was the sound of lips moving in Low German and Old English. So that's evolved over time. You may have even heard sometimes, I don't think it's used very commonly anymore, but to get a smacker would be like a big kiss, you know? And often, I guess, if you just went around kissing strangers, you might get followed by a smack afterwards. So maybe that's involved that way as well. But it's interesting. It's interesting how that word goes through there. It's a Germanic word, but it exists in Polish, which is a Slavic language, completely separate branch. But the word chocolate is the same everywhere, it seems. Chocolate for French, German, Polish, all pronounced the same, spelled differently.
Hey.
I'm going to enjoy this and then think about my next recipe.
Richard, I love how you put that in the blender and just sort of really added that richer piece versus using the different flavors. First, I thought you had it because here there's a whiskey, a chocolate flavored whiskey, but I really like the level that you took it to because you really chopped that tail up. So way to do that.
No, there's actual whiskey in
we're
there.
looking
Filled with whiskey, so it's actually filled with. I could have just
No,
bit
I
off
know
the end.
that. Oh, good. I like the way you amped it up, though. Good job on that one. So,
Yeah.
Jacqueline, we're very curious to see what's going on in your world, and we want to see how you made that decadent dessert. I'm going to slide in a little bit of one of the things I wanted to show was how quick and easy it is for the dips. Do you want to grab that out of the fridge, Mom? So what I just did is you can dip a lot of things in chocolate. And they're lovely. Fruit is specifically a really, really lovely item to dip in chocolate and to serve in different ways. Thanks, Mom. So what I did is I usually get a little piece, this is the plate, and I put a piece of wax paper or parchment. I've learned that. As pretty as it is, sticking it to your plate that you want to present it on, when you go to take it out of the fridge, it'll probably be stuck to your plate. So do yourself a favor and use something in the middle. And for anybody that's ever made it, it does. And I don't know if that one sat long enough, but there we go. There's a beautiful dipped strawberry. And what I usually do is I usually pick the ones that you see this guy here. He had a really good stem on the top. And I like to leave the stem on it. First of all, it's very beautiful. It really shows where it's straight from nature. It also gives you a little handle to hold on to, and it's great for dipping. So I usually just roll the dip on one side and then set them in the fridge. Does anybody want to guess the other item that I decided to dip in bacon? And it's not fruit or dip in bacon. I guess I just gave it away. I took our chocolate and I rolled the whole side of the piece of that beautiful bacon. So now that is hardening on to the top of the bacon. So I've rolled a few of those in. It's a really nice cured smoked bacon, absolutely delicious. So what I'm gonna do, so this is one of the chocolatey treats my family is gonna get later. I, of course, couldn't be one of our episodes with me making the sweet potato maple chocolate brownies. What I am doing for my family, because I also know they're bacon lovers, as is Emily, and it's her 30th birthday today. So I've dipped some bacon in chocolate. I'm gonna let that sit, and when I get to Nova Scotia, I'm gonna dice that up, and that's what I'm gonna sprinkle on top of the brownies. So we're gonna take the bacon chocolate brownie level to the next piece. But this is a really great sneaky way to do that. So one last one that we did, and I'm gonna show you how I blended this sauce. We thought, why not make a spiced version? So my double boiler over here is full. So what I've done is taken about the equivalent of a tablespoon of the chocolate, and then I'm gonna move this camera down and make it really easy because it's a beautiful recipe when it comes together. And then I took a half a tablespoon of Scott's buffalo sauce. And one of the things to remember in that beautiful buffalo sauce is it's mixed with all those beautiful spicy peppers, but it also has a bit of butter in it. So because of the ingredient, when you look at food chemistry a bit that's in that butter, it actually goes into the consistency with the chocolate very smooth. And you give that little mix up, and actually, I'm gonna hold this up, the chocolate takes on a real shine because of the butter that's in it. And that would be a little bit. So then what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to roll a few more of the strawberries in the spicy chocolate. So, and put those on the array of the plate with some dipped in regular and some dipped in spicy. But just for fun, I'm not going to tell anybody which one's which. So as they're eating the strawberries, they'll just notice that really beautiful hint of a difference in each one. Mom, you had a taste test earlier. How'd you like the spicy?
Didn't mind it at all.
Yeah, she liked that. Helen's learning to do a little spiced up things these days. So nice and simple. Just another way to take some of other ingredients that you have and give those different flavors. Chocolate can handle it. And that's one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that strength. So I'm going to dip some strawberries in this spicy chocolate. In the meantime, Jacqueline, I'll be paying very, very close attention to this wonderful recipe. So take your time, explain it out. We're very excited. So I'm going to turn it over to Jacqueline in Vietnam to introduce this gorgeous chocolate and coconut pudding.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Before I share with you the recipes, I'd like to introduce, I'm so proud to introduce the product from Đà Lạt. La Chocotie is the name of my friend's company. And this is the product from my friend's company. And I used the chocolate powder to make two recipes. The first one is the dessert, chocolate coconut jelly, and the second one is hot chocolate. First of all, let's see some health benefits of dark chocolate. The first one is rich in nutrients. Second one, high in antioxidants. The third one is reduces cholesterol. The fourth is prevents cancer. Next is anti-diabetic. And number 6 is lowers blood pressure. Number 7 promotes weight loss. And number 8, healthy heart. So the doctors advise us to have dark chocolate every day. And today I'd like to share with you 2 recipes. The first one is Vietnamese chocolate coconut jelly. To make this dessert, we need 50 grams of chocolate powder. Okay, you see here the name of chocolate powder, La Chocotie, my friend's company. Next, we need 400 millimeters of coconut cream, 20 grams of jelly powder, 120 grams of palm sugar. You can use, let's see, maple syrup or maple sugar instead. 1 liter of fresh milk, 120 millimeters of sweetened condensed milk. And now let's move on to the steps. First, in a large bowl, mix together 10 grams of jelly powder, 120 grams of sugar, 50 grams of chocolate powder, and 700 millimeters of fresh milk. Stir well, and then store the mixture in the refrigerator for 2 hours. The reason here is the product after finishing doesn't release water when you store it in the refrigerator for a few days. Similarly, in another bowl, another large bowl, mix together 10 grams of jelly powder, 400 millimeters of coconut cream, 300 millimeters of fresh milk, and 120 grams of condensed milk. Stir well and keep the mixture in the refrigerator for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, first you cook the chocolate mixture for 4 minutes, and then you cook the coconut mixture with the medium heat. And after cooking the chocolate mixture for 10 minutes, pour 1 layer into the container. And after that, you put the saucepan on the stir again and add a little water into the rest and continue cooking on a very, very low heat. And you have to let the first layer cool down until the surface becomes solid. And after that, you pour the second layer onto the first one. And I have to admit that this is challenging to me because we have to do it gently. We have to avoid breaking the surface of the first layer. But if you wait for the surface becomes so solid and the 2 layers will be separated after finishing. So you have to keep the second, the liquid must be hot when you pour the second or the third layer onto the previous layers. And we continue until finishing. After that, we chill the product in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours before serving. And this is the product.
Wow.
Yeah. And as you can see, the layers don't separate. And you know, my sons love the desserts very much. The second son told me that he is addicted to this dessert. The flavor, the taste is very, very delicious. So I recommend that you should try to make it one day. Do you have any questions?
Jacqueline,
Yes.
first of all, wow. And I will look forward to you making that for me. I don't think I would attempt to make that without your help. You did such a really great job explaining that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just was curious, when you dump that first layer into the pan, did you put anything, like, do you grease the pan with coconut oil or anything, or you just put it into the glass bowl?
Just put it in the bowl only.
It's really amazing, and I have to say, I can almost taste it.
Very, very delicious.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Absolutely
And,
beautiful.
Yeah. And now I'd like to share with you the second recipe, the
Sure.
hot chocolate. It is also, I also use the chocolate powder, this one. And you know, actually, my son shares the recipe with me. Okay, he makes this hot chocolate almost every day. He loves this kind of drink. It is extremely easy. For the ingredients here, I make 2 cups. So I used 10 grams of chocolate powder, 440 milliliters of fresh milk, and 40 grams of condensed milk, sweetened condensed milk. But actually, if you don't like the sweet taste, you can reduce the amount of sweetened milk. And now, here are the steps. You put all the ingredients into a small saucepan. I mean the fresh milk, chocolate powder, and condensed milk. And then whisk together over medium heat until the chocolate powder is dissolved. And you have to whisk until the liquid becomes hot. And after that, pour the drink into a cup and sprinkle a little chocolate powder on the top. That's it. Very, very simple. Okay.
Jacqueline, we love
Simple,
the fresh.
delicious. Yeah, thank you.
The fresh is amazing. And that technique, I mean, I think is such a wonderful technique to share. And I know growing up as a kid, we often would have, these, and I brought a couple things out, the instant hot chocolate, which is great. Definitely not a bad thing to have. And it is wonderful to have that option, but I love how you're showing that technique of really taking and making that authentic chocolate. Hopefully more people spend that time, and we always say spending time with your food is a good thing. So speaking of spending time with recipes, let's talk about this mole sauce for a few minutes. It's interesting because Jacqueline, I will be taking some advice from you and film some of these recipes that I am cooking so we can look through process. Looking back at this one, I'm going to make sure this gets posted for a future piece because there are a few of the steps that I'll take to explain. But the most important thing in a mole sauce, it's one of those traditional sauces that is really meant to be cooked in the layers. It's meant for the spices and each piece of those to be honored in each step of the way. Jacqueline, you've done that in many of the Vietnamese recipes that come through. Anybody that spends some time, a true bolognese sauce in Italy takes time to build that sauce brought properly. Mole sauce, looked up a lot of different recipes. There's a few that say a 20-minute recipe. I can see how you could get the flavor, but I can honestly tell you, you're not going to get the flavor in this recipe unless you're dedicating at least an hour to an hour and a half, which I did and enjoyed every minute of it. So it has a lot of ingredients. I will promise that I will be making sure these get sent out because it might be a little bit hard to follow. Interestingly enough, it's one of the sauces in the world that has the most ingredients in it. But again, honoring our theme of Mexico. Hello, our new guests coming in. Honoring our theme from Mexico and finding a really great savory dish that we were able to put chocolate in. And I can tell you that this definitely comes to the table. So what I did is I started with, in the pot that I got here for the amount that I made probably the equivalent of about 6 cups because I want to be able to do, and this is a sauce that you either cook your chicken in the very traditional mole, you would cut up a chicken, put it all together, bone in, and then coat your mole sauce on it and bake it in the oven. So it really gets in through that. Today, what I've done is I seasoned my chicken differently. It's coming down to our family celebration this afternoon, and I'm going to use the mole sauce as a topping. In Mexico, you will often see this as a topping on enchiladas and some other meat. It's that really rich, dark sauce. So as you see here, I'm going to hold up. It looks like a giant pot of chocolate in here, but it's nice and a smooth sauce, but hopefully you can see it really does look like. And by the way, once the sauce is sitting there for a few minutes, you'll notice it creates a little skim across the top. So you want to make sure you're stirring it, and I'm pretty sure that has to do with the chocolate and the different ingredients that are in. So here's what's going on. I took 2 onions around this size, and I chopped them up into a fairly small size because I'm sauteing them. You are going to puree this mixture, so you just want to make sure your vegetables are cut to similar timing so that you can get this in here. I see we've got a couple of people having some internet volume problems, so hopefully they're getting those sorted out. So what I did is I took a small jalapeno, and then one of, Scott, I might need you to help me type in that. I'm trying to remember what this pepper was called, or Roz, if she's still there, can see it. But these are the 2 fresh peppers that I chose. I wasn't able to get the dried chilies that it calls for. It calls for 4 different types of dried chilies. So what I have in here is I got some chipotle peppers. So I used some of the chipotle, which already has what we're looking for. So I'm going to hold one of those up. You see that? They come in cans and they've already got that great smoky additional seasoning on those. I used 3 of those chipotles in this sauce. I might have should have used 2. I think these are what push the heat level over the edge. I will pre-warn you on this one. It's beautiful in flavor. So what you're going to do is I saute the fresh ingredients. So the other beautiful fresh ingredient would be garlic. So I've got my onions, my peppers, and my garlic, and I saute those down in a pan until they're really cooked through. You're not browning them, but you want them really cooked through so the vegetables are nice and soft. And then in a different pan, I toasted off my spices. So this is where it's going to get interesting. I had dried chili flakes, so your traditional spicy chili flakes, and then all of these have a 1/4 teaspoon in them. Coriander seeds, so those I put in there to roast whole. Black peppercorns. I used some anise seeds. These are small. Anise has a licoricey type of a scent to it. Very distinctive. And I can tell you when you're roasting them, you definitely smell this one. Then the other thing is I put some sesame seeds inside of it. So one of the things that the mole sauce will call for is thickeners and different spices. So I used sesame seeds, which I toasted them up with my spice mixture, and it has some cinnamon in it. So I thought this is an homage to Roz and her favorite being cinnamon. So it's got a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon in it as well. Oh, I'm having a hard time saying the word. We also have, I used some ground chili powder, and it was an organic chili powder that I wanted to use because I did need a few of those extra chilies. I used a teaspoon, probably should have used a half a teaspoon. The flavor's there, but I increased the heat just a little bit. I will put this recipe at the higher heat level and at the medium heat level when I post it. So you take those particular spices, which is a lot, but I put them in a warm pan and you toast them. And you really can't leave the pan when you're doing this because you don't want to burn them. So you're sort of doing a little bit of a constant stir in the pan, but I can promise you it's a beautiful part of cooking the recipe because it smells delicious when you're doing it. So once those, and they toast for maybe a minute, minute and a half, they don't need a really long time. What it does, and this is probably really traditional in this type of sauce making, toasting those spices significantly change what the flavor is going to be when they go into your sauce. If you didn't toast them, it will not taste the same. So I really want to significantly say that this is an important part of it. So I have a mortar and pestle. So once I took all of my spices out, I put them into my trusty mortar and pestle, and then I ground those down. So I made sure they came into a nice powder, which again, absolutely smelled delicious, I might add. So what I now have, if you picture it, I've got my onions and all my wet ingredients in one pan, my toasted ingredients over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to marry the two of those together. And what we're also going to, I added into there was a half a can of tomato paste. In some of the recipes, you could use a roasted tomato. And as I said, a lot of extra steps. So I used tomato paste in it. It definitely gave what that flavor was. So now what I do is I'm putting all of these ingredients into a pot and you let it simmer for about a half an hour. You're going to notice I have not put the chocolate in yet. So I really want to say, so layer ingredients important in this recipe. I have not added the chocolate in. So that needs to simmer for about 30 minutes and it will smell divine. Once that is done, the chocolate is the last ingredient that you stir in. So I melted chocolate down, and I melted for this particular recipe, it was a quarter of a cup of chocolate, and stirred that into the ingredient. And the sauce went from this really interesting, probably a color like this, and then went to that beautiful, rich, chocolatey, deep brown color that you see here. So this is a very traditional mole sauce, and it really does taste spectacular. And what I can say is you can taste the different flavors. And because of the different layers of seasoning that we did with it, thanks, Mom, getting all of those ingredients together was fun. And I'll end on this comment on the sauce. When I read online, a lot of people that wrote about this sauce, you can tell it's a sauce that people really care about when they make. And it was very funny to listen to how many of the people wrote the recipe and said, please be warned, get all of your ingredients out and make sure everything is there, because there is, I think in this one, there was 14 different ingredients. So when you're getting that, it's really important that you get your ingredients out in advance. But I can tell you it's sitting below my nose right now and it smells absolutely divine. So we're looking for, we have a few new guests that arrived. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing that. I think a few new countries out there. So we're going to move on to, I think Richard's probably thirsty for a cocktail. So we're thinking in a minute here, he's going to whip us up one. But I have my s'more station here all set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a roasted s'more because it's just going to take a couple of minutes to show how this decadent treat comes through very quickly. And I want to make sure, Christine, are you ready to roll so that you can share your video? So when we call on you here in a few minutes, that we can get that out there. So, Richard, cocktail making in a minute. This is a barbecue lighter. It also acts a little bit like a little torch. On my Christmas list, I'm looking for a brulee torch. So I will be looking to find a brulee torch, but fortunately I was able to find this. Please be careful when you're doing this recipe anywhere. The best place to do it is beside your campfire. So when you come to Atlantic Canada, and I'll tell you in our summer camp this summer here at the school, you're gonna see a lot of outdoor activities. This will be a very common that is made. and it's very common in Atlantic Canada. I'll tell you, the traditional ingredient you would need for this would be graham cracker cookies. I have switched it up. These are a much slimmer version. This is a toasted corn chip and coconut. So I have these nice little toasted corn and coconut chip, as we call it. And then the next ingredient is a lovely marshmallow. Just a simple white billowy marshmallow. Now, I do notice that you can get maple marshmallows here, of course. I am using a traditional marshmallow. And then the other ingredient that you need to make this absolutely perfect is a piece of chocolate, which right now is stuck to the bottom of my marshmallow. So the real simple ingredients are graham cracker, chocolate, marshmallow, and then top it off. The difference is we need to toast that marshmallow, because a traditional s'more is not a s'more until you get a toasted marshmallow. So let's see if we can get this toasted so everybody can see. And one of the most favorite a lot of people are, and hopefully everybody can see that as I'm catching it on fire, which is okay, because we like a little bit of extra toasting. So I'm gonna get the marshmallow up so you can see it a bit better. You see the browning coming on that marshmallow? There we go, toasted s'more live on TV. Small fire in my kitchen. No, that's normal. When you're by the campfire, I know a lot of people, my mom loves them burnt. And there we go. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of extra around the bottom of that chocolate. Hopefully you can see that melting. And there we have a nice toasty marshmallow. See Maureen looking in, you know you want a bite of that. So what's gonna go on top? That nicely squishes down now. You see how the marshmallow does that nice squish? And there you go. You can see your melted marshmallow, your chocolate s'more. Welcome to Atlantic Canada, where this is made outside on average by campfires for people of all ages. So hopefully is probably one of our favorite ways to enjoy chocolate here in Atlantic Canada. So I'm going to pass this one over to Mom to enjoy. Richard, let's pop over to you for a quick chalk-tail going on in Richard's hour. And then we're going to go over to make sure that we hear what's going on in Vietnam. Sound good? Do you want a s'more to have with your chalk-tail?
Listen, how would you describe a graham cracker? A graham cracker? Because I'm not sure if that's American as well, but it's only in North America.
So Richard, why don't you get through that, and I will give you, a graham cracker is a sweet cracker, and it's the same color, which is interesting, like this, and it's specifically made out of, and there's oats and different things in it. I don't have that off top, but from a timing standpoint, Richard, we've got 10 minutes left, and we've got a few recipes that we need to go get through. So let's get over and get that cocktail made.
Quickly, this time I've learned my lesson. So three whiskey chocolates and two cafe au lait, plus the water, which has just been heated. And I'm not going to fill it up to the top because then it would explode. Which reminds me, I was cooking some chocolate for Michelle's birthday in a show a long time ago and had a bit of a fire accident. So you have to be careful. There we go, all liquefied. You can see the steam coming off of that. Look at that. Isn't that something? And then I add my own espresso. And voila. I'm going to leave off the hot chocolate bit because I think it's chocolatey enough. There used to be a time when I was really afraid to open these boxes last night because I was afraid I would eat them all. But I think these things are rich enough today. I think I'll be able to be okay. I always thought maybe it was just a thing with men, like we're just weak around chocolate, extra weak, but maybe not. I've got it now. Michelle, I noticed she said a couple of interesting things with her recipe, she used the word chipotle, mole, chocolate, and tomato. And all of those words come to us from Aztec. And it was the Aztecs that gave us, that we, well, the Europeans found chocolate from, although they have a formula of fermented drink, which dates back to 450 BC. And in fact, archaeologists have discovered in Colombia and places like that, that the cacao plant was being harvested as far back as 5,000 years ago. So very old. It could have been something that was found and then lost and then refound. This happens in history with technologies. All right, cheers.
I like the way that you're adjusting the recipes as you go. Very talented.
This one's better. This one's better.
This is. And I think one of the tips I saw put out there, which is really making sure when you're using hot liquid in a blender, please be extra cautious whenever you're doing that. Any one of us that have done any amount of cooking have probably had the experience of what that looks like, and it's not a good one. So awesome extra tip out there to Roz. And Scott, thanks for looking up the graham cracker piece of it. Because of my gluten allergy, it's interesting. I don't eat a lot of graham crackers, but I just looked at that and it was actually named after someone in creating that. Crackers just said it's a flour originated from the United States. So Richard, you were spot on with that one. Yeah. And it's definitely developed as a snack food. You definitely have that sweet, sweet flavor. So it's readily available here. But when you look at it, that is the more traditional ingredient that you would use in a Canadian s'more. But as we said, I switched mine up a bit. Okay, I'm going to end on my brownie note, but before we end on one of those favorite chocolate recipes that we have, we're ready. So the screen share is on. Are you ready to take over and do the screen share? Yeah? All right, take yourself off mute, my friend. And the screen share should be ready. So this is a recipe from Vietnam that from Christine's son. And we're anxious to see how the tofu and carrot balls are made. And this came out from our root vegetable episode. So we saw a little bit of a piece. So we'll let you get going on your screen share. Hopefully you can see her looking at her buttons here. Christine, how are we making out?
Excuse me, I use my iPhone, so that's so that I kind of upload the video.
Oh, you're not able to do it from there.
I didn't use the laptop today, so.
Okay. So Jacqueline,
I forgot to check that before I tell you. So please help me. Can you help me share the video?
What I'm going to say is, Jacqueline, do you have a copy of the video that you could share on her behalf?
Yeah.
Not sure where I have it. Fairy, you sent it to me on Messenger. So
yeah, I have sent to Jacqueline through yellow. So could you please help me, Jacqueline?
Let's hope maybe our teacher Jacqueline can come in for a little tech support. Jacqueline, are you able to share that?
Yeah, thank you.
There, tell us what we have. All right, Christine, you're gonna have to tell us what he's doing. Oh, did she freeze? Are you there, Christine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, why don't you explain what he's doing?
My son helped me a lot with this video because he really loved cooking. And first, so that we just continue with the clip.
We can go back to the beginning. It's a short clip. Jacqueline, maybe you can rewind that? He doesn't. You guys did a really good job. There you go. Perfect.
Yes, thank you. Today, I would like to introduce you the fried tofu balls. You need the tofu, carrots, mayonnaise, sausages, egg. Okay, the first you have to cut the tofu to small slices. Yes, and my son's, this is really easy so that my son can help me with this step. Yeah, and he really loved cooking. Yes, and then with the dangerous step like cutting the carrot to small slices, I myself did it. Yeah, because it's quite dangerous for the kids. Yes, and then you cut the sausages to small slices. Yeah, it's quite simple.
I think the size of the slices are important though, to make sure they're all very
Yeah.
small, right? So that they come out
Yeah,
right.
you have to cut it very
Good
small,
job.
and then yeah, we cut the coriander and spring onion to small slices too, and then we add 2 tablespoons of red crumbs, or you can put the amount you like. Yeah, and then we put 1 chicken egg and mayonnaise, if you like mayonnaise, to make it more tastier. And then we add 2 teaspoons of seasoning powder. Yeah.
What's the seasoning powder?
Yeah, the seasoning powder to make it more salty. You can use salt. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this is the simple ways so that my son can mix well evenly. Yeah, just mix everything, mix well. Yeah, and you just make some of the mixture and make it like a ball. And the kids love this way, this one, so that he can make with a colorful ball, and he loved the color. Okay, and then we just pour vegetable oil into the pan. But we have to keep them in the deep fry. Yeah, take them to the deep fry. Yes, and that's all. You just put the tomato sauce or mayonnaise if you like, and just enjoy it. It's really yummy because tofu is really syrupy, and the taste so yummy. And the kids love cooking this very much.
They look spectacular.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline, for the screen share.
Yeah, thank you, Jacqueline.
Well, we will now look forward to future recipes from you and your household. Thank you. Thank the boys. We really, really do appreciate it. You know, what I really like is tofu, and I want to ask you the question. Is it a certain type of tofu? Because I know some are firmer and some are softer. What type of tofu to use?
We kind of use the soft tofu. No, so we just use
Definitely. And Scott suggested
my family loves this. Yeah.
I agree, Scott, you could spice those up with some buffalo sauce. Please also pass on that his presentation was absolutely beautiful on how you showed that recipe to come through. And I love how that piece of the bowl had the mayonnaise with the egg in the middle. I absolutely love that. So as we wrap up, and we'll look forward to a future one, we really want to thank everybody for what was involved in chocolate today. But I want to close on a note. I'm going to go over the brownie recipe quickly. That wouldn't we have done before. But I want to make a couple comments about Peace by Chocolate. And we referenced it at the very beginning. So Peace by Chocolate is an incredible Syrian company, and they came here to Canada in 2012. And what they have built is an unbelievable story of their family and what their trade was in their country. And were they able to bring this here to Canada, not just in Antigonish, but to the world and across Canada. But St. FX University is a significant piece, as many people in that region, in playing a role in ensuring that this family's story continues to get told. Not only that, it's spreading around the world to show of how communities and joy can come together. I know Maureen will probably have to circle back around from a timing standpoint. We had featured them as well, but Maureen, do you want to hold the book up maybe and say a couple of words? Because I know that you've got a little bit of a personal connection with them. You are on mute, so just grab your mute button there as you get your book. Maureen knows the author's aunt and a little bit more about the story. And she's had the privilege and the pleasure of reading the book. But I will tell you, for everybody, the Toronto Film Festival is launching this incredible story this week, and it will be really going global. So we're pretty excited to give them on our International Chocolate episode such an homage and a big hold out. Maureen?
Yes, okay. Yes, good morning, everyone. I'll just hold up the book so you can get a kind of a view of this. I hope you can see it properly. Basically, when I returned to Nova Scotia last September, my sister and her husband came down, and as a housewarming and welcome back to Canada gift, they gave me this book, and it was an absolutely totally amazing gift, and it was written by my sister's nephew, John Patry. So of course there is, like you say, a personal attachment to it. But the really interesting thing was how this family actually came. They was rescued more or less from the refugee camps in Syria, and then brought to Canada by people from Antigonish who actually promoted and helped to pay for them to come here. So it was a totally amazing story, and it's the Had family, and Tarek is their oldest son, but it was the father, Isham, who is the chocolatier, and he's the one who actually, once he got to Antigonish, just to kind of disorient himself and to keep himself busy because he didn't have his business anymore in Syria, he started doing the chocolates, making chocolate in his own home, and giving it to people. And eventually, of course, people loved the chocolate so much that they convinced him that he should start actually producing it again in a way where he could actually have a business. And so Tarek, his son, actually, I would say, helped him and promoted the business in such an amazing way that by 2020, he is here meeting Prime Minister Trudeau and the President of the United States, Obama. So I would say that's a totally incredible story, and it's I'd say mainly due to the generosity and intelligence of the people of Antigonish, and to also the people who come from these places who are willing to make that quantum leap into another country and absorb the culture and move on. So I have to say, my greatest appreciation goes out to those people, and it's wonderful that they're here with us, and I hope that everyone else will appreciate that they're here with us as well.
Thank you, Maureen. That was absolutely, and thank you for sharing that extra piece of the story. It needed to be said, and I really value, and that you know that as much. So let's on a beautiful fun note, and I have taken one of their incredible chocolates to top it on my brownie.
Wow.
The beautiful white heart.
Ooh,
I'm not gonna be able to hold that up right, but you're gonna see the one that's missing. So this is one of the boxes of their beautiful chocolates. And all these people won. So I have taken my beautiful brownie, very tasty brownie, and the white heart that I'm going to choose to top my brownie off with. How's this for a decadent little treat tray for the day? A chocolate s'more and a brownie. Look for breakfast.
Jealous.
Right? So we're going to end on this. I want to thank everybody again, from our kitchens to yours around the world. It is incredibly important that you take this time with us. We value each and every one of it. You can go on to our YouTube channel. Please share the videos, share the recipes. Majority of the recipes we are posting on our website. So if you go over to the food section at studyatlantic.com, you'll be able to find really these taste and tasty treats. This particular brownie recipe, I want to thank Scott Milburn from Gourmet Sauces by Scott's Kitchen, because he brought this recipe into my life here a while back, and it seems to be coming back over again. And it's our favorite 4-ingredient recipe. So I made, because I'm going to Nova Scotia, the giant tray. So this is the super giant, and it weighs, I tell you, the amount. So I will give you the traditional amount of ingredients. So in a normal batch, in a 9x9 pan, we would put 2 cups of cooked sweet potato. And again, we continue to look at this each time I make it. I do steam the sweet potato and really make sure it's whipped. So the sweet potato itself is very, very creamy. And then the next ingredient is, so 2 cups sweet potato, 1 cup of your favorite nut butter. I actually used a combination of almond and peanut butter in this particular one, all natural, unsweetened. And then I used 1/4 cup of maple syrup, of course, because, you know, most things are better with maple. And yes, I use the dark syrup from Black Sheep, from Edgelanding from Angela, and cocoa powder. So 1 cup of cocoa powder. And I used a couple of different times. I did use this organic cocoa powder. I used 2 different types, but just for fun, I thought I would add a few extra ingredients. And this is some of these beautiful cacao chunks that I have from the Dominican Republic. And so I took one of these and then I ground it all down on the microplane. And there's one of those inside of it. And just to be fun, I also threw in 1/4 cup of melted chocolate. Because you know what? We're going to chocolate those brownies up just a little bit more. So those go into the oven, 375 for an hour. Come out and you have a beautiful tray of healthy sweet potato chocolate brownies. Gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free, because of course we have that wonderful maple syrup in there. So next week's theme, French fries and chips. A wonderful topic that I think people love around the world. You'll often hear them called fries or chips or different pieces of it. Richard, that was one of those, and I do believe it's the day after that it's actually International French Fry Day. So again, wonderful theme that was chosen around what people are celebrating around the world. But I can tell you, there's a lot of French fries. I was out this week and there's French fry trucks around that's all that they sell, with all the unique and different toppings on that. So we'll look forward to be celebrating French fries and chips from around the world, and especially featured here in Atlantic Canada. So everybody have a fantastic day. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
Wonderful program.
Thank you. Have a good time.
Thank you, everybody.
Nãy con lấy con lao bàn
Bye.
mà. Ai thấy trước là được dọn, ưu tiên được dọn.